We start out on this new road. No turning back. But we have our ancestors with us. We're gonna continue to dance with them. Dreaming them. Calling them. Being them. We are becoming what we were.
It is part of that Mayan prophecies.
7 triangles of light.
Keep walking. You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
People who say that the gods made them from corn. They planned their lives according to the heavens. Well-versed in astronomy, using a sophisticated mathematics, they calculated the movements of the night sky thousands of years into the past and thousands of years into the future. They knew that the universe moved in cycles. Their lives were ruled by the rhythms of the natural world, planting and harvesting, birth and death, just as the great tree of life emerges from the earth.
Always they're connected. Science and religion.
In dreams, we learn from the Maya gods when to plant and when to harvest, when to set the fire, and when to do the corn ceremony.
What we're digging up, what we're coming up with is part of our history. And the men that lived here are some of the greatest men we've ever had. And it's the fact that we're getting to know more and more and more about the life of these people.
They still maintain their customs. They still maintain their ways of organizing their societies. And it's very exciting to see how much of the ancient Maya way of life is still alive as well.
Because American history does not begin in 1492 with Columbus. It begins in 200 BC with the first Maya king who wrote his name on a stone. What is happening now is the people who made these places, people like Yashpak or Bird Jaguar or Pakal, are getting back their voices. They are becoming real to us and speaking to the people of the 20th century about who built this place and why and what they felt and what they thought about the world. These are not anonymous people anymore.
You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
Oh, hello, hello, community.
LA natives.
LA
Happy
natives.
Sunday, everybody.
Can you hire my headphones just a little, Armando? Yes, we're back live Sunday. How are you doing, JB?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Sunday, everybody. Everybody that's in the LA area. I hope you guys are enjoying some of that beautiful California summer, winter days, and having some beautiful days out
Absolutely.
here.
How about you, Mondo? How you been?
Man, a very productive week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And been looking forward to this show.
Even for LA natives, you know, like getting our shirts in.
Yes, we have our heat transfers.
Yeah.
We have our stickers coming in tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We have our hang tags coming in.
Yeah.
We have a few orders we need to fulfill, and trust, within a few days, they're going to be in the mail.
Absolutely. So we want to thank our community for, one, supporting our cause, our intention, and our voice. You know, today we have a very talented female rapper. She's from Canada.
I don't want to quote that, but she will go ahead and make it known if she's from out there.
Okay. Yeah. So I thought she was from there, but we'll find out soon enough. But
you know what? For me as a hip hop fan, as soon as I took a look at her first few videos on YouTube, I was hooked.
Nice.
Yeah.
She's a spitter. She's a poet. She's a
Nice.
wordsmith.
Nice.
And
She has
And
confidence.
for a hip hop artist, it's dope hip hop.
Yeah. No, I heard some of her tracks too, and they're dope. You know, female rap is has to have its talents, and she definitely has it. You know what I mean? Not
Right.
everybody who's a female can.
And
go out
you know,
there and
me
do
and-
that. Well, I mean, I don't want to say that. Sorry, stop.
And me, being an underground
takes a lot.
fan of underground music,
Absolutely.
like she's now in my radar.
Nice.
And this is why LA Natives exist, to expose dope indigenous native hip hop.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, my week went pretty good too. It was pretty productive. We have a lot of things going on with our other business, which is, our Malinali superfood business. There's a lot of exciting news happening there.
Which I just personally ordered, 2 cases
Yeah.
or 2 weeks worth?
Yeah, but you ordered 16 smoothies, so pretty much half of your month is taken care of right there. So
Okay, so give me the best advice about how to take this drink and how should I go about this weekly regimen that I'm trying to make happen.
The first thing to understand about the products that we make at Malinali is that they're rooted in ancestral foods. So ancestral foods are mineral-based foods, not really protein-based or trying to get the higher quality proteins, but more along the lines of mineral-based foods. So when you feed your body foods that help the functionality of your organs, that's what causes you to eat less, because you have so much mineral. So the way I would suggest you take the 18 smoothies is every day before you eat anything, eat that. Because then when you eat that, you pretty much gave yourself a meal replacement for breakfast, which doesn't have to involve any oil or bread or any of that kind of stuff. You just gave yourself full mineral.
So, I am so excited to hear that.
Yeah.
Imagine an MC, he's about to record a verse in the studio and he takes his drink in the morning.
He'd be focused. You'd be focused because you can't do nothing but focus. I mean, before I got here, I had to fulfill like 5 orders. You know what I mean? And I got up at 8:30, took my drink, boom, just start working, and
We have a very important question right here.
Absolutely.
Can I give Malinali to my toddler?
Yes, we love it. Yes. That's basically baby's first foods. You can implement that into baby's first foods. I highly suggest implementing avocados, aguacate, that traditional Nahuatl name. That's baby's first traditional foods, and you can mix our powders into it and or give it to them into our superfood smoothies.
Yeah. Look, when you talk about food, it's safe. Of course it's safe. It's the ancestors or the ancients or the Mesoamerican culture figured out a way to create societies that didn't have to happen to burden the land that they were around. They had to think in a way that was like, how can we feed somebody the highest nutrition so that it doesn't tax from the land, or we don't have to raise animals, or we don't have to use large crops. So when you eat mineral-based food like Armando has just purchased, you drink it every day in the morning before anything, and then the rest of your day will be more of a hydration and then eating. So you only usually eat once or twice a day at the most. And it's not overeating, because once your body has mineral, then it doesn't need to overeat. But when the food has no mineral, then you constantly eat. You're constantly craving. And what are you craving? A bread, sugar, those type of things. Those are synthetic versions of what you really need.
Right.
So that's how you take it. Every day.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Zero. Thank you for fulfilling the order for us.
Absolutely, brothers.
And we're looking forward to it. I
So
want to
you guys
shout
get
out
8 of these.
I want to shout out all the new subscribers that we've been getting. We had this last week, we got like an extra 8 subscribers on the website. Yeah. And that's going a step above, right? It's not just watching our podcast and, giving it a follow, but to take that extra step to visit the website and to subscribe, that means a lot to us, because we are building that database right there.
Well, you become part of the community. You can't get information if you don't go to the circle. if you don't join the tribe, if you don't, you can't find these artists. These artists are handpicked. Armando is an expert in putting together niche audiences. And this audience deserves love, respect, and attention. And that's what we're doing when we highlight these individuals that come on our show that are of Native descent and that have a Native message. They're not to be taken for granted. So go and sign up at the website. You have to get this information so that we can make the community strong, solid, and we don't need to ask for handouts from anyone. We don't need to figure out a cure for anything if we all come together and share our message.
Right. And like how I mentioned in the last episode, is, these artists are vetted, not to, pigeonhole artists that are like up and coming, but we want to put on artists that are highly influential in their scene and in their message, right, Zero? Mm-hmm. Like for example, your music is highly influential.
When we put out our music, it was a need. It had to fill a void. And this new generation is filling that void again. And so, yeah, we do pay attention on who we put on the show. And I really follow Armando's lead because who meets more hip-hop artist or any kind of artist in general than the brother that runs undergroundhiphopblog.com. I mean, he works with Necro, he works with Etos Uno, he works with, I've always had that luck, man, like working with people that just do things and they like me, so they get to, they willingly show me how to do it. Not that I would do that, I'm just saying that I get to learn how it works. But being a producer of any kind of music or any kind of hip hop, you have to learn how it works before you can actually drive the car. You know what I mean? You have to learn how it works. And Armando's done a really good job at that. And he's picked some amazing guests. And we have a loyal following of 100. So anybody who comes to this podcast, who hears us on Spotify, who really pays attention to what we have to do as an intention here as LA natives, thank you. Thank you.
And, I see the Spotify numbers and they're amazing. And it's just like, we're filling that void. There's a voice out there that they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And remember how I was showing you the numbers, how people just stick around for like the whole hour and a half, the whole 2 hours. And that's amazing. Right, Zero?
Well, there's a connection being made. It's not hard to connect with our cultura, with our brothers and sisters that are across the globe. I mean, Richie said it the best, #Global Native. Global Native is somebody who understands the principles of being Native. You don't have to be of Native descent, although the pure blood natives, we have nothing but optimal respect for you. But it's time to grow into the world that I think our ancestors have always dreamed of, which is consciousness, awareness, kindness, strength, and so on and so forth. And to do that, you have to have a message. So I want to introduce our guest.
Yes.
JB, the First Lady. How you doing? Oh.
What's up, everybody?
Oh,
sister, I like your necklace.
Hey,
you look beautiful.
I had to get all my toys out.
I want to go ahead and say it's an honor and a privilege to have you on our podcast. It means so much to us to have such an influential artist like yourself on our platform.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be with you.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the point of what we're trying to do here on LA Natives is to get a perspective of a regional sense. Obviously you come from a certain area, and explaining that area to us, letting us get familiar, seeing the similarities of that area to this area, even though we live in 70-degree weather almost all the year round.
Yeah.
And there's obviously going to be a little bit of difference, but you'll start to see the similarities on how we gather, how often we gather and stuff. So, one, I'm a fan of your music. I'm a fan of your message. I'm honored that a woman has stepped up and really put forth her voice, a different perspective for us men that are healing, So, talk a little bit about your music, talk a little bit about your area.
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other.
So I'm glad that you said that I might be from Canada. I would like to say so-called Canada.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But first off, I want to acknowledge the territory that I'm on, which is the Musqueam, the Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, and that's in so-called Vancouver, BC, Canada. So anytime that wherever I go, I always say and acknowledge the territory that I'm on. So it's very important to me to follow that protocol of the people of this land. And I'm from East and I'm from the West. So my dad is New Hulk. So Yao Suda Hooks, Eps Ulks New Hulk, Onondaga Wolf Clan. Etz Ulk, Mas Waniks, Ragatero, JB the First Lady, Geraldine Webster, Stutz Waniks, LA Natives Podcast. Nice. So I said in my New Hulk traditional language, I said, I'm New Hulk and I'm also Onondaga, so I'm way like from the East, the Haudenosaunee people, and I'm Wolf Clan. The names I carry many names. And my name is Etz Ulk, which means South Bentic. That's where my dad's family, that's where our village was before colonization. And then my second New Hulk name is Mas Waniks, which means 4 carpenters. And they're the one of our first ancestors. They created the water, the air, the mountains, and the trees. Wow. And my family wanted to give me this name because my music and my art and my community building and my activism, that's what I stand up for, is the land and the air and the water and the land. And my name is JD the First Lady, my hip hop. So it's like bringing first ladyship back to our women, our life givers, our supernaturals. You know, it's very important I want to showcase someone on stage that looks like them. Yeah. A chubby Indigenous girl.
You know, it was so beautiful to hear you speak your language and translate it for us, and really get a sense of how they couldn't take it away from us. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't take it away because it's still here. It's still being taught. It's still being translated so that they can understand, right? They can understand that we come from such a variety of clans and different types of people. It wasn't just, you know, a tribe of people that stuck together all paranoid, and there was a mixture. I heard a mixture of so much stuff there, you know, and the fact that you're coming at it and taking your message to give voice to women is what we need right now. Yes. We need to have an equal balance and understanding from our female perspective. Mm-hmm. Not in an abusive way, either way, whether it comes from a male perspective or a female perspective. But yeah, what you just said was amazing and firm and clear. Mm-hmm. So speak more about what that means.
Yeah, I just want to have a very clear message that we're only getting half the story in hip hop and even maybe in music, just in general. And it was really inspired by another artist. His name's Shad. He's from Africa, and he's based in Toronto and Vancouver. And he really had a whole song called "Keep Shining" about women. We need more women to share their story, and that really pushed my second album to continue to make music, because I was like, do people really want to hear, this message about Indigenous people and what we're going through. And as soon as I heard that song, I was like, yes, I'm going to continue, because we do, as women, as Indigenous people, we haven't even told our story yet. It hasn't even been told. Like, it's not even in the world yet. Like, there's like, we've shown a little bit, but because that the continuation of assimilation and genocide is happening to our people, our voices are being silent or taken away. But we haven't even shown our, our humor, our storytelling. We as Indigenous people, we are the best storytellers in the whole world. And I even think of sports, Jim Thorpe. He was the greatest athlete ever to live. And we haven't even showed our athleticism. We haven't been able to bring that to the world stage yet.
It's now that independent mediums exist, I think you can get an accurate version of what our story was. The fact that the reason why, and I have a theory on why we don't have that voice proliferated in popular culture or in movies or in books, is because it's too much for the white generation that doesn't have to kill for the land. It's too much for their brain to go, what? My grandfather did that, or my great grandfather did that. It's too much for their psyche. That's why they just kind of rather just ignore us. Just keep it. Oh, what? They needed a little bit of money? Here you go. Look it. Give a few of them a little bit of money and look at their movie, and they should be quiet. But the story of Indigenous people all across this continent is just like what you described in your intro in introducing yourself to us, is that it's a variety of individuals that traveled this continent, that stayed here for a few years and then moved over there for a few years and evolved and created societies as grand, if not grander, than Rome. So it's an amazing metamorphosis to hear a female message. And here's the twist, because there's a twist for our community, not to be intimidated by it if you're a man, right? It's kind of like hip hop, right? Hip hop saw a dope ass female MC and it got kind of intimidated. It's like, what? Guys went, what? Girls could do it just as good as a guy. It's like this patriarchy that's been hammered down onto in a male's perspective for so long, that when you meet it face to face, a message, a firm message, no, I'm me. My partner does that to me all the time. She sticks to her womanhood and says, no, this is my perspective, and I don't care if you're not agreeing with me. And in a patriarchal society, a man would force them to see their vision. So that's what I'm trying to say with your music. It's like, have you ever kind of come across intimidation just because you're a firm female that obviously has a message? Whenever a male gets confronted with a female who has anything to say, they get intimidated. Like, what?
Well, I have a really good friend. Her name is Dakota Brand, and she was Miss Indian World. And I was like, oh, did you meet like a lot of like amazing, Indigenous men that like were into you, like wherever you went? She's like, no, actually, everyone was like scared to come talk to me. So that's kind of what has happened to me in hip hop, is that they'll get quiet. They won't even know what to do. Or sometimes they'll just like see me as clear and then see who the other guy is behind me, in hip hop. But like, especially here on the West Coast, and it's all about, and even in Haudenosaunee, it's matrilineal. So matriarchs, we're really learning about like what is a matriarch. And there's a lot of men, like you said, are healing and wanting to unlearn the unhealthy ways of patriarchy. So I really do feel that Indigenous men in hip hop are now moving forward with seeing how those female voices can come through. And not only female voices, but like non-binary, trans, two-spirit. That is, to me, like, hasn't even been touched yet. We haven't even seen the strength of that. But that strength of the two-spirit people and non-binary and trans, that music is amazing. And I have a lot of, hip hop MCs from the queer community that I collaborate with, and just seeing the artistry. Like, I thought female energy was up next, but nah, it's queer,
Can you name a few of the people that you're working with so we
Yeah.
can support them?
Yeah, Dio Gandhi. They just dropped some singles, 50s and 100s. I think they have a really good song called Native New Yorker. So good. Because New York City is Haudenosaunee territory. So
Right.
Miss Quana Style is, they want to get into hip hop, but they're doing more like dance pop music. And there's an artist, Kim Mortal. They're not like indigenous to Turtle Island, but they're from the Philippines. And oh man, Kim Mortal, so good. They're also featured on Snotty Nose Res Kids. I don't know if you guys heard of them.
Yeah, we have. Actually, we've seen.
I think we're gonna get them on board.
Sweet. Yeah, I think they're scheduled to be on the show, hopefully. So yeah, that's cool, man. Like, the indigenous community has a bunch of artists that have a lot to say, and again, hearing it from a woman's perspective, what a woman needs to say is important, because sometimes men get into this mode of we're providers or we're money makers and we ignore the very foundation on why we work so hard. So it's kind of like it's easy for corporations or elites to pit us against each other if men and female don't understand the communications or their roles within each other's lives. And that's what causes broken homes. That's what causes so much dysfunction in our communities. I know that luckily when I toured with El Vuh in Canada, and when I went to Mexico City, I saw that the most destructive thing that a colonizer could do is break up the family unit. And even if the family unit is just a male and a female, once you guys go together, once a male decides to take care of, provide for, shelter, pay attention to a female, you become a family unit, whether you have children or not. Now, that family unit could be broken, and if it don't have children, much better to you. But when it does, it destroys the psyche of that race. So to see a female stand up in her poetry, in her music, and really express her motherhood, her indigeneity, and her true feelings about, obviously, oppression and colonization. I mean, we've heard tons of people not... I mean, it's funny how we complain about colonization and all this stuff, but, we live in the midst of it. Like, it's our road to decolonize from it. And that's where your music plays a big role, at least on my perspective, at least for me being a male and understanding a woman's voice. It doesn't have to be in 100% consensus, but at least my message right now, or what I'm talking about right now, is to the men. Take some time and listen, because when we listen, we resolve. When we resolve, we continue our journey here on this very dangerous planet. So in that sense, how has motherhood been in the way or helped you in your road here on music?
Yeah, man. Well, I have a 12-year-old, and now I have a 10-month-old.
Wow.
And I just gave birth 2 weeks before lockdown. And so I have a quarantine baby.
Wow.
And I have a 12-year-old. And when I actually gave birth, he came a month early. So I thought I would put my first album out before he came. But he was actually 2 weeks old when I put out my first album called Indigenous Love. And he was 2 weeks old at my album release party. And then he's just been a backstage baby. And it's actually, because I was a single mom, I had to put my time, schedule everything. And for the last 8 years, I did 7 projects.
Wow.
And did a couple tours. But it was because I had only a certain amount of time. I was able to do my writing, invest in my music, and follow that path. And being that mother to this young person, seeing me, I was wanting him to become a speaker as well. Because in my family here on the West Coast, they're actually prepping me to be a speaker of our family in our ceremonies, in our potluck ceremonies. So it's like almost like the way I'm speaking is coming out in a contemporary way of my natural traditional role that I would have been in if colonization didn't happen to me. So I'm trying to pass that down to my son now. And now he's the DJ for me when we go and do shows. And in his school, like when they're learning singing and drumming in school, which is amazing. But he's introducing the songs and he's standing up. And it's because I've been training him since he was a baby. So motherhood has been like so powerful.
Well, it sounds like a challenge. It sounds like a challenge to try to put together a hip hop project, and I know myself what it entitles.
And have a baby at the same time. That's a big challenge, you know. It's a big challenge. After we have given birth, we're going through our own birth of our own self, and you know, you were birthing your own self. You were releasing your CD and all that, and on top of that, you were carrying that next 7 generations on you. You know, so it could be a very powerful moment during that time, but it could also be a very heavy moment as a life carrier. You know,
it was. And now that you're saying that, I'm just having that realization, like, damn, I'm strong.
Yeah, you are.
You are strong.
Yeah, you are.
Oh man,
you're good an example of strength. That's why you're on our show.
Yeah, that's why you're on our show. So share your story. You know,
and
share
you're
your story
dope. And you're a dope hip hop artist.
Yeah.
There's other stuff that you have to offer too, you know, and please know that you are being that example just by being you. And we have been teaching all our children this since creation. Remember that, you know, our babies are born with that intention, whether they come by surprise or come planned. They have an intention and a prayer behind them. So understand that you have been passing this medicine down to your children since embryo.
Yeah, and I was performing all the way up until they were born.
Wow.
So
let me ask you, when did you start your hip hop career? You know, when was it, you know, you produced, you know, your first project? stuff like that?
Yeah, so I moved a lot as a young person. You talked about colonization attacking our family systems. Definitely, that happened to our family, but we've been healing it. And because of that attack on our family, we moved so many different places in so-called Canada. But my mom always told me, go to the friendship centers. So like the Native Center. I don't know if you guys have like resources like that in different cities. But that's where I saw my first hip hop show. And it was this young activist group called the Native Youth Movement. And their activism turned into music. And that's where I saw my first hip hop show called Tribalism. And I saw artists like Oz 12, Manic Wonderful, Skeeter Reese.
I met those dudes.
Yeah, right?
I met Oz and I met Manic. I have a story, but go ahead. I just, when you said their name, it just like, boom, like I got a flashback of both of them. Those guys are crazy cool.
They're so good. They just like inspire me the most because they're talking about colonization, talking about decolonizing, native pride, like being proud of who you are. Because no one saw me as a native person, an indigenous person. They just saw me as a clear person. And then when I moved to Vancouver, there was like lots of racism. And so I was kind of like, didn't feel like I belonged to anything and wasn't connected to my culture yet. And I saw these young people and I said, man, I want to do that for other young people. And that's why I make my music today.
So cool.
And that's why I make my music.
That's so dope. I mean, that's crazy that you know Oz and Manic. We toured when we toured in when El Vuh went up to Canada and we toured Nanaimo. A college had took El Vuh out there and they were our opening act, Oz and Manic. And when we met them, oh my God, they were just like, man, those were some hostile, rebellious, in your face, unapologetic natives. They were so crazy.
So you see where I get it from.
Absolutely. Those guys were crazy. Like one time they were smoking a cigarette and I don't mean it to be mean, but I just never seen somebody do this, right? So I think Manic was smoking a cigarette and he's all, oh no. Yeah. He was smoking a cigarette and some guy comes up to him, some guy from Canada, obviously he's, of white descent. He's like, hey man, can I have a cigarette? And he's all, no. And he just kept like, he just like said no politely and just kept talking to me and just was very rooted in his message, which is rebellious, understanding that Canada is not the British colonial superpower that it pretends to be. Those guys were really cool, and I'm glad you know them, and that explains everything on why you're on our show, because somehow we somehow all interconnect in some kind of way. Oz and Manic are very, very close to El Vuh, and we had a great time meeting them. They were dope.
Yeah, they're like the older cousins that showed us the importance of music and the message. So that's exactly why. And also Buffy St. Marie, the matriarch of music, just like keeping to those protest anthems that I create. And, she's so incredible. And, I just get her guidance from her career and just seeing how strongly she used her music to bring the message of what was happening to our people. And that's why I continue,
Absolutely. So in your message and your writing, what would you say is the core? Obviously being indigenous, but what is outside of the indigenous understanding? What is the core message? What is your core message? It could be about being a single mom. It could be, you know, varieties. But what is the topics that you tend to write about that you feel Native women need to hear and get hammered down their throat? What is it?
Yeah. I have to take a deep breath.
It's a deep one. That's why I asked it.
Yeah. Just like being proud of who you are. And like ultimately, everyone has a piece of land that they're from. So that land has songs, dances, ceremonies, and language. And that's why we need to stand up for our land. That's why we need to stand up for Mother Earth, you know, because everyone comes from that Mother Earth. So I just want, like, any person of color, you know, to see someone expressing their rage in this, you know, peaceful way. Because we need to see that rage, because we're always told, you know, be quiet, you know, you're too rebel, you're too much, don't talk loud, you know, speak nicely. So I'm just here to share that with all women.
You know, that's so cool that you want to stand up for your indigeneity and let people know that you come from a place. And when we started LA Natives and I wanted to contrast Native cultures, right? Like, obviously, prisoners of war, children of prisoners of war, survivors of genocide culture. It's not like we're comparing the Hopis and the Huicholes from Mexico. Mm-hmm. We're comparing oppressed genocide survivor stories. And when you said that your community sometimes, your family sometimes, your friends sometimes say, quiet, quiet, be quiet.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing that happens over here on this side of the Native reservation or the prison camp that we live in. Our parents always tell us, be quiet. No, don't say nothing. They're gonna do something to you because you said something. Think about that, my natives. Think about where you live if you have to say that. Think about where you live. Think about who is controlling your environment when you have to stay quiet about common sense, common rights. We're not at that time, obviously, now, because we have artists like you. We have artists like El Vuh. We have artists like Aslan Underground. We have tons of artists that are sharing the rage and sharing the pain of surviving genocide. So you would say that that's the main core of what you write about.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And also bring it to a family aspect. So I have a song called We Were Children, and that's about residential school and that attacked our family systems too. And just imagining a community with no children. And so I call it just imagine your own child, or, you know, your niece or nephew, or your brother and sister. And just wanting to connect to people. Because I do put on rallies and march in the streets. I'm the person that's getting the speakers, you know, getting the mics, getting the volunteers together, putting it out on social media. And I can't do that now, but a couple of years ago, I was doing a lot of rallies and bringing awareness. So not only in my music, I was doing that in my activism in the community. And
You kind of have that Shutescat kind of like half activist, half recording artist kind of approach to your music. That's it's one. It's effective. I'm sure that you get people who are into your activism, who realize that you do music, support your music. That's a dual approach, Armando. That's like killing two birds with one stone.
Wow.
That's an intelligent marketing strategy. The only thing that happens sometimes, though, with artists that do that is that they get pigeonholed as being like protest kind of.
Well, and this is rappers. Why I'm just so attached to the indigenous hip hop genre, right? Like JB, the First Lady, I listen to a lot of hip hop, promote a lot of hip hop, and like how I tell Zero of El Vuh, there's different genres of hip hop, right? And then there's this indigenous hip hop scene, right? And how do you feel about falling into that category? You know what I'm saying? Just from a fan standpoint, because what you guys all have in common is that your guys' knowledge level is like on a whole different level compared to just a random b-boy graffiti kid that's making hip hop.
Oh, I love it. I want to be indigenous. I want to be activism. I want people to say like, yeah, she's an activist. She stands up. And it might be niche. I like it. I want to be identified as that. I know some artists don't like that, and that's cool. But like just seeing Buffy St. Marie, all of her music is protest anthems, folk music, and she's like in her 70s, still touring, still making music, still making moves. And, I want to be the Buffy St. Marie of indigenous hip hop.
And there you go.
Right. Because there's conscious hip hop, that genre, right? But it falls into indigenous hip hop, right? Zero?
Yeah.
It's a complex type of terminology I'm trying to use, right, Zero?
Yeah. I mean, I pulled that from someone. When I study art, I try not to study art that's in my genre, and that quote kind of came from Nina Simone, because Nina Simone was like a jazz singer who wrote some very deep, culturally affecting music, and she said, yeah, you write this type of music, but sometimes everyone just expects you to write that type of song when you're trying to evolve your sound. But if you are a half activist, half hip hop artist, then your sound will be consistent to what your activism is, or when you left your activism. So that's why I love this show. It's not linear what we do as artists. Like me, I try to stay away from being a protest anything. Like if you listen to my music, I rarely say George Bush, or I try not to stay in a specific category, because my perspective is my own experience in this reality. So it's gonna vary. It's just my perspective. That's it. It's no more, no less. And when you intertwine your activism and your art, that's where Nina Simone said, well, I'm a very popular activist as well as a great jazz singer, and people are expecting my activism, but what about when I don't want to be an activist? What about when I don't want to say something? I just want to do this. That's what I think she was talking about. Do you understand?
Yeah. And I am exploring my alter ego, and she's really sexy.
Nice.
So
you see
yeah.
That's what I'm trying to point out. As an artist, you start off like my son. He started off as a reggae singer, then he started writing raps, and then I told him, look, Oline, your life you're gonna start one way and then find inspiration in so many different areas. It'll be up to you to combine that and make it into your message, right? And what you want to write about. And you can clearly see that with JB here, in the sense that, yeah, I found out the tortures that happened to me. I am a genocide survivor. I am a prisoner of war. And now I have to express for my next 7 generations how not to be entrapped by all that bullshit.
And who is JB at the same time. So
right.
I think you're bringing confidence back. I think you're bringing sexy back on top of spirituality back, you know? And I think that's where we're at right now in the woman nation. It is time to speak our voices. It is time for the confidence to come out. It doesn't matter what we see in the mirrors, what we feel inside of us, you know? And that's what you're bringing. You're bringing the confidence. You are bringing the spirituality back, and you're bringing the sexiness back. And I love it.
So do you have any latest songs that you want to promote that people should go check out?
Oh man, I haven't put anything out since 2019. But
is there anything future? Is there anything future coming up? Do you have? You said you had projects in the making, right?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm exploring my alter ego, and she's really sexy.
Nice.
And yeah, because I think, you know, being sexy and that confidence is like an active resistance. So when us as women, especially Indigenous women, when we're having sex and we have orgasm, that's an active resistance.
That's a new perspective.
Yeah.
I got it. Hey, that's the beauty of art, though, because, I mean, look at Cardi B. Cardi B does her thing and is wealthy and whatever. I'm not saying that's not the case, but see, that's what I mean about males being, it's not, you think that when I brought up the males being intimidated isn't just about being dominant or being stronger. It's really about talking about these kind of subjects, and then they go, what? You want to do that? And then your mind starts going 100,000 different ways, and why, and who is it, and calm down, dudes. Women are just like you. So if you think some nasty shit, then obviously women think nasty shit too. And it's okay. We need to heal our man nation is what I'm saying, is have patience with your women. Have patience. Don't suppress them. If they're that way, then they need to either work something out, and you need to give them space to do that, or you need to join it and be a part of it, but that's the time, I guess, right now, right? Your message needs to evolve in what we need. The Creator always gives us what we need. And if women need to look in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, then that's what the message needs right now. And you'll feel that need, I guess. Not I guess, I know.
You know.
Yeah, there's this amazing burlesque troupe. They're all Indigenous, and they reside here in Costa del Estero. They're called Vargo Nation, and they talk about sex positive, just like they inspired that alter ego inside of me. Seeing them do burlesque as Indigenous women, and they like talking about water in their dance. And that was really like sexy and hot.
I respect that a lot. No, for reals, because it's like, you know, obviously that's a niche and that's a whole different culture, but why not create your own amongst the Indigenous community? Am I right, Israel? Do you see my point?
It reminds me of Tribe Called Red. I don't know if you heard of a group called Tribe Called Red. They're like a DJ kind of electronic kind of music, right? And so one of my good ceremony friends went to a ceremony, and they had kids, right? The kids were there. They all did the ceremony. The ceremony was over, and then the nighttime came, and they're all like, yeah, you should come to the party. And they went to this house, and they were like raving and playing this band, Tribe Called Red, and they were just a whole nother, but they, you know, a few hours ago, they were sitting in ceremony and being very serious and very connected in that way. And then they went, this is the way we express ourselves as a youth now, which is, you know, not even hip hop. It was just more like drinking and being youthful, right? That's what the burlesque thing reminds me of, you know, because it's a youthful and for maybe people who have already had children, it's an expression that they never got to express. So that's the way I see it, because I think I just and I'll do the same thing I did with Quinn and Kondo. I don't like anything they brought. Anything. Nothing that they brought would influence my queen in the way that they do. You know what I mean? I think deep internal finding yourself brings that out in an innate way. But that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that it's against or should be talked bad about. And that's it. This is just my opinion. I decided not to take anything from them. And it was a very scary place, but I stay firm in that. And it's cool when other individuals find inspiration in freedom after being oppressed and misused and abused, molested, trafficked for so long. Now it's their time to say, look, I'm sexy, but don't dare touch me because I will slap your face. I'm imagining. But I hear what you're saying, sis. I hear what you're saying. And it's time for us to be in that safe space now where men can understand that message. My partner has been an infinite source of knowledge in that realm, because I met her very young, and she's, I seen her change so many times, and that was a part of it. The expressing, the freedom, the comfort, the safety. And that's all we want to provide as men, is the safe space for that.
Thank you.
And that's what I meant by everything I just said. I said it in a very complicated way, but I'm going to stand firm to my message here as LA natives and as an LA native's hope. I don't like anything they brought. Anything, nothing, absolutely nothing. I'd rather be in a dark room forever than see or accept anything they brought here. To think that it's going to implement my journey. My great-grandparents already told me this was a very dangerous place. My great-grandparents already told me that there were animals that would take my life, and those animals sometimes stand it on two legs. That's what my deep prayer told me. So we all have to evolve in our road. We all have to meet these things. And this is a part of being LA natives, is to know your message, know your region, and know that this is what you think is cool. And maybe people out here in the West, in Los Angeles, know that burlesque group and should look it up. Should look your music up.
I think there's a balance. I think there has to be a balance behind everything. And I think it's okay to find that balance between the spirituality and that sexuality, I think this next generation is definitely about that. Look at the trap music, we're bringing twerking back. We're bringing everything back, So I think bringing it in with a positive message, I'd rather be bumping you than be bumping something that doesn't have a positive message but still has that beat behind it. So I appreciate the balance.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, please check out Snotty Nose Rest Kids. I'm blown away by their catalog and how far they've gone.
And I think we're gonna have them on the show in about a month.
That's cool. I'm excited because I heard their music's very pop. Like in the pop culture kind of genre.
And they're a Canadian group, right?
Yeah. And they, have been really traveling a lot, and they've really nailed down their sound and their branding, and just really seeing a group on the rise like that. So inspirational.
Absolutely.
And have you guys seen this new TV show called Trickster?
Oh, you know what? I seen the previews of that. It's about either an uncle, something being a shapeshifter, right? Or somebody that can change into animal form, right? Medicine man, and he follows his nephew or something like that around it. So are they a part of that music soundtrack or something?
Yeah, so the writer is from the Haisla Nation. Is a West Coast nation up here, and their music is in it. My music is also in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And
Congrats.
another female hip hop artist that I really love and respect, her name's T Rhyme. She's also in it. And one of the matriarchs of Indigenous hip hop, Equal, she's from Saskatchewan. They're in it as well.
That's
so
cool.
the soundtrack is just like so amazing. And
So
it's
say it one more time.
yeah.
What's the name?
Trickster.
Trickster. So
And
everyone.
it's on CW
Yeah. So
in America.
everyone on LA Natives, we got to check out Tricksters.
Yeah.
Look for JB, the First Lady's music on it.
It's on the second episode, which is going to be airing next Tuesday. So you got to watch out for it.
Wow. So then they're recent. These.
Yeah.
I thought it was on Netflix. Is it on Netflix? By any
No,
chance?
it's on the CW.
Where did I see?
So-
Oh, you know where I saw it on Instagram. I saw a preview on it on Instagram. I thought it was on Netflix.
And then Crystal Lightning, she's the main character.
Oh, no way.
Oh,
Yeah.
the same one that she came out in. Wow, that was a great role for her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool. We
it's
know
so
we know
deadly.
her. We know her and,
Shout
and
out
her
to
partner.
Crystal Lightning out
Yeah,
there.
shout out to them, to the whole familia. They have a little boy or a girl, I think.
Little boy.
Yeah, the little boy. That's
And
crazy,
and-
Armando. Everybody
right.
kind of knows each other.
And this is
Yeah.
what I was kind of trying to say, that the Native community, the Indigenous community, they're creating their own commerce now. They're getting into Hollywood, competing with Netflix, getting into the private film scene. You know, the time is now. Power is in our hands, right? And that's the same model that we have for LA Natives. This is why we started it at this time. Remember, it was just like people are having to fill voids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just like how the burlesque scene, now there's an Indigenous burlesque scene. Like
Right.
that's competing against their, like how you said what they brought.
Right.
Well,
You're colonizing it a little bit.
right? We don't have to rely on them anymore.
It's evolving.
We're creating our own scene.
Yeah, evolves.
We're evolving.
We're evolving, and I think what really kind of is our Achilles heel is our inability to recognize all natives across Turtle Island, period. We're not, these fake borders did not separate the shush, quiet down, don't say anything. Come on, that's exactly how they treated all the natives across Turtle Island. They were displaced and abused and trafficked and murdered and
No longer
stolen.
silenced. Can't silence
So
us
now
anymore.
it's not, we're not at that stage anymore where we got, pioneers coming from the East Coast trying to murder people and take over West Coast lands. We're in a place where we're comfortable, and I think that's why JB, the First Lady, feels like I want to explore my sexuality. I want to promote burlesque in our communities, because a lot of Indigenous people don't think they're pretty. A lot of Indigenous people don't feel like they didn't get the Vogue cover shot. They didn't get any kind of publicity or starring roles in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
So now it's time to evolve into that.
What roles?
I'm just strict and conservative on my views. That's just it. I won't admit to something that I'm not down for.
What roles did Indigenous or Native individuals, let's say, got in the 80s and 70s? It was the typical role. Like, okay, you're an Indian.
Yeah, you're Tonto. You're the Indian that says nothing and knows nothing. Where it's like, oh, come in for the important part. Where did he go? Like, oh, look at his footprints. Oh, I could smell he went that way. Like, it's like that kind of dumb role. When
I was watching Wayne's World 2.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen, there's like a native in it. He doesn't talk or nothing.
Right. It's
yeah.
ridiculous. It's like
I'm like, no.
But I see when you're able to see the bigger picture and understand that white people aren't bad. They're just dealing with a lot. They're dealing with the fact that, whoa, I came from this very savage, brutal, unfair lineage. So how do I deal with that now? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
I can either ignore it. I could either be a part of it. And what we really want is for you to just leave us alone. Let us heal on ourselves. Let us create these markets for ourselves.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. and whether it's big or small, LA Natives is here to tell you that all indigenous people across Turtle Island are family. We're family. We're treated the same way. Misused, misunderstood. So many things. It's not to be sad about it. It's to gain strength from it. It's to know that when you put out a project 2 weeks into almost being due, you still finish that project. You still put it out. Performing while pregnant. Being pregnant alone is a journey. And performing and having so many emotions, and then that child feeling those same emotions while you're on stage. Because I know what it does for me. I go berserk on stage. That's a warrior. That's a warrior woman. So we should be honored that she's here sharing her message with us here on LA Natives and opening up our eyes to what the new, or which way the female perspective is going, with respect.
Well, I want to mention too, JB, the First Lady, like you're amongst the leaders in that niche, to be honest. Like after, doing the research that I did, like especially for the female indigenous scene, I can't come across any name right now. Am I right, Zero? Like
not off the top of my dome, no.
So kudos to you to massively make an impact in that scene, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, is to be consistent. There's other artists, that were coming up at the same time as me. We had a whole crew. We're called the First Ladies crew, and we had DJ, graffiti, and MCs. But not many people kept with it. And that's okay. But it was, for me, important to be that consistent artist, to keep putting out projects and to inspire other young Native people. And I also do workshops, and I bring my traveling studio, and I do workshops for youth and record the youth and teach them about song structure, not just rapping or hip hop, but also in their genre that they like if it's folk music or rock music. But I teach them about song structure and record them. So, I'm excited to see, our musical genius of our generation, break through. I want to see that. I want to see our music, our humor, our beauty on that world stage. And I believe that they're being created right now. And if I could be a part of those young people's journey, that makes life. That's all I can say.
Well, you definitely contribute to the beauty of life when you do that. When you mentor an artist, a young, shy kid who doesn't know how to completely express himself, but one day, he met someone like you and put a microphone in front of him and
gave him
his
confidence.
His ABC poem gave him the confidence. Because everybody, what people don't realize, Armando, is or Jenny, when you're an artist and you write your first poem, in your head you're like, wow, that's the dopest poem. But then you read it and you're like, oh, well, maybe it's not that good. And then you start getting insecure about it. And so it's so hard to share your writings, right? And that nurturing that you're talking about, that workshop, could be like, expect it not to be good. Draft. Do it again. Read it over. Have a beginning, middle, and end. And that's art. It's not this ego trip that you have in your head and you're like, like what hip hop artists permeate into our brains is, look how dope I am. Look, I can make up these words right away off the top of my dome. But then there's artists that are like painters. They're like Leonardo da Vinci's. They like take years to paint this picture. And that song just gets branded into a person's soul, like Bob Marley's Message and everyone else who wrote profound music in that manner. I try to take that approach to music. Try to take that my writings would last more than a year or two, where people wanted to crave other things. The first thing people do when they meet me is they say Jaguar Prophecies.
Which was created what year?
On 2002, we recreated Jaguar Prophecies. So my music's been alive for 18 years, like solid. Like people from Mexico, people from Canada. We have a lot of fans in Canada. Oz, Manic opened up the door for us back over there. So to see the message evolve, to know how hard it is to do. That's why I asked you, like, if is childhood in the way? Because I know what it did for me. Not saying that it's in the way. I'm just saying it's a challenge. Like, because I know what it did for me when I put out Evolution and my partner had just had a baby. You know, but I had already booked a very high-end knitting factory, Hollywood Boulevard venue, and it was sold out. And I had to make a decision. I had to go, like, do I change it? Do I cancel? Or do I... And the right answer was attend to your wife. Okay, LA natives, that's the right answer. But sometimes life gets in the way, and ego gets in the way, and your maturity gets in the way, right? And you spend the rest of your life trying to make that up. And you can't, but it's cool. We're good. It's just the life of an artist is hard, and I wanted to point that out.
It is. It is.
Because we rely on your shirt. We rely on shirt sales. We rely on CD sales. We rely on you asking us to come out for a workshop. We rely on all these things that we want to do. And then we battle this, you know, the reason why we don't have a profound artist is because I think corporates are scared of our message.
Yeah.
You know, what would happen if quote unquote Mexicans start thinking that they're native? And what would happen if natives thought that Mexicans were natives? Then we would become the majority in a blink of an eye. But even that is not what we want. We want community. We want to interject JB, the First Lady's music into our network, and we want many CD sales and many shirt sales and many concert sales to go to her. And create our own reality with our own vision and our own truth and our own story, which is what you do in your music. So, what I've been doing in our show is asking our MCs to share something. So maybe a poem, freestyle. What do you think?
Oh, man.
Did I put you on the spot?
No, I knew it was coming.
Okay, well, that's what's going to happen. On LA Natives, if you're a poet,
just get ready.
You're an MC, get ready for me to ask you to share.
Future performance, get ready for
Absolutely. JB, the First
I do
Lady.
have a beat lined up, but I don't know if it will work.
Beat and all.
Do it. Just do it. As long as your verse gets heard, I think we're learning here. So don't be shy. Know that your message is to be shared. And then what a better way to do it than now?
Because I still hear feedback.
Oh, you hear feedback?
I don't know if is that on your end too?
I don't hear no feedback.
We don't hear no feedback on our end.
That's why I'm talking really slow. But I am from the West Coast, native, and we talk slow. We drum slow.
Nice.
And then my east side, we drum like water drum fast.
Oh, okay.
So I'm confused all the time. And I'm a Pisces, okay?
Oh, wow. Trifecta.
Woo. Watch out.
Right on.
Okay, I'll see if you guys can hear this. Can you hear that?
No.
No?
It's because you're on the headphones.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll just do one then.
Take your time.
Everyone, take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3. I was once told all the land would try to be sold. This came from the old. How can land be bought? Someone had to have taught. When will the last fish be caught and rotten? But it's not gonna stop. I come to the light. I come to the fight. I come to the mic, hoping it might change, rearrange. Fate waste of materials are made. I can't escape. Sick of watching lives on tape. I sit and I wait, debate, animate the shapes, create energies unseen. Open the dreams, waiting for the moonbeams. Talk to the grandmas and moms, and press pause on the CDs. Beats heal me, flow freely. I got to believe in me. I got to believe in me. That's what they said in my head in my bed last night. Just go left to the right. Follow your impulses, your desires. Take 5, connect the whys, the 5s. No need for denials and lies. Slow motion, hoping and coping. It's in the flow of the ocean. Stars are aligned. I combine this to my mind and my grind. Press rewind. All my relations.
That was dope. That was cool.
That was beautiful. That was really good.
That was like my spoken word. JB, the first lady.
Wow, that
Yeah.
that was really. I like the choice of words. I like where the I could see how you could teach kids the structure of a poem and where it's going. You know, it's not random. It's very direct and very powerful and impactful to see how a woman combined all that. You know what I mean? Like when you did the lines about the stars, you know, like, whoa, her imagination was that wide. I do that with my wife a lot, where she talks about stuff and I'm like, whoa, your mind's way over there. You know, it's like big.
Painting a picture.
Painting a picture in that way was an honor for us, and thank you so much for sharing. I didn't want me, you know, I'll put everybody on the spot, but you know, it's like they need to know your message, man. They need to know where your heart is, who JB the first lady is, and to go check you out because you're
Check out Still Here. That's my life's work in one song, man. Nice. I worked so hard on that song. Oh man, just like everything, all my rage, you know. My album Righteous Empowered Daughter, that's my rage album. Oh man, lots of work into that one.
And do you have any videos out?
Yeah, I have Still Here. I have a song about missing and murder. It's called The Most Unprotected Girl. And just talking about like how us as women, you know, we walk in so many different places and we need protection. You know, this is Still Here. Actually, I've co-directed this music video. So I'm into film, and my vision from my mind into, you know, my team, and then seeing it on screen. Oh man, that's the best feeling. Seeing that vision come out in this way. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
This is the Butterflies in Spirit, and they have relatives of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and they use hip hop dance to bring awareness to their loved ones. So
I was bumping this all last night. This is an amazing song. Amazing
Thank
song.
you.
Yeah, I mean, look at the visuals, man. The visuals are pro. They're well thought out. I mean, that's the road of an artist, is they have to put all that stuff together so that it looks nice, it's presentable, and like I said before, when you decide to be a poet, your first poem isn't the best thing, but you evolve and you work at it and you get better and you get better. And this is really cool, well put together, clear message, and it was honored, you know, to have you here and talk to us and share with us this great message of of women empowerment, indigenous women.
Oh,
you know,
representing.
and maybe not complete total power, but you know, at least an equal partnership in this very dangerous planet that our ancestors told us that we would be living on. We have to think of, that's what I liked about like hearing your music, is that it gives hope for that beautiful vision of partnership, that togetherness that's going to help you, you know, survive in this very dangerous atmosphere. It's a very dangerous atmosphere. It never was presented to us as a cakewalk, although they try to make us or believe that because we live in a city, but you'll understand very quickly that this place is very dangerous and there's a lot of bad people out there trying to hurt you. And sometimes they act like your friends and sometimes they just hurt you. So having a community that you can rely on for good music, good message, good clothing, good understanding, and organization, thanks to Armando and his launching of, you know, undergroundhiphopblog.com and LA Natives. What's the Pause One show?
Pause One podcast.
Pause One podcast, and many, many more that are going to come out of this hub.
Yep.
You know, so do we have any questions for JB? Nothing's out there.
We just want to make sure for all the people tuning in, follow her Instagram, subscribe to her YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Check out her video, comment.
There's a reason why she's on LA Natives.
Yeah.
You know,
You have a powerful message, Mohan. Very powerful.
It's super powerful. It's clear and it's done well.
Thank you.
And it's done well. It's done well. We wouldn't have you on LA Natives if it wasn't done well. And I know there's many, many other indigenous individuals out there that want to get on our show, and you know, we're pretty booked, but you know, just keep you know, sending us your music and letting us know that there's a large community out there, and everybody go follow JB, the First Lady.
Yes, make sure you guys follow her. And I want to tell you, thank you for donating an hour of your time to the LA Natives podcast, and really value you accepting our invite and being a part of this community.
Oh man, it's giving me life. It's, you know, I miss performing, I miss traveling, I miss talking to new people with like minds, and this is giving me life in pandemic times where it's like really hard, and I'm getting so inspired. I'm gonna like try to write something tonight, you know. I haven't stepped to my pen, you know, like you said, giving birth is a lot. So, but just feeling your love and your support, and I think I might step to my pen tonight.
Beautiful. Oh, what a beautiful inspiration.
Well, know that you have family out here. Know that that's the whole purpose of us putting together. What we're putting together is to reunify Turtle Island in a humble way, in a way that's so different from anything or any idea that any colonized European greedy banker could come up with. You know, we just need to work together and appreciate people that take the time to make an album, to make a video, to make a shirt, to put together a curriculum that they could take to your children and teach them to find inspiration in their own gift, in their own heartbeat. And I think you do that well, JB, the First Lady. It was a pleasure to have and talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
This was such a good convo, and I look forward to your future shows. And yeah, I have an abundance of people, guests that I would love to share with you.
Yeah, just send them our way.
Send them our way.
Like Dakota Bear is so amazing.
Nice.
They have their own clothing company called Decolonial Clothing Co. And he does activism. I like been mentoring him with rallies and everything, like passing down the knowledge of how to put on events like that. And he has a music career and he's really amazing. So at Dakota Bear, check
Absolutely.
out.
Well, we'll get your
check him out.
comment. Well, you know, hopefully you can get us a DM to kind of point us in the right direction if we're missing anybody that hasn't been scheduled already for our interviews.
Yes. And if JB's referring them, that means a lot because she's probably just like me, very picky on who she's vouching for, who she's, referring to, right? That all comes with, vetting everything, Well, you know what, JB, have yourself a nice night. It was
Thank you so
it was
much.
an honor again, and we will definitely have you back again down the line.
Yeah.
So stay tapped in. Thank you.
All right. Much love. All my relations.
Wow.
She was cool. She was
almost every interview is like a wow after the conversation, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we're really fully prepared of what they're going to share. This is LA Natives completely raw. We just go with the flow of things. We don't have no script. We don't have no questions to pre-ask them. So that's why it's always a wow. What a beautiful story she came with.
Well, because we have an approach that everybody that comes on to LA Natives is a family member, somebody a cousin that we haven't seen in a while, and now they're back on our in our home, and they're sharing their knowledge and their purpose with us. It's not easy to make music, bro, and put a CD together and hope people like it and buy it,
Right.
She was pregnant.
And she was pregnant.
And I feel like she just gave us the stamp of approval for our podcast, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's that's the one thing is that when you meet other natives from other regions, they're gonna really, really like you, or they're not gonna like you. And it just seemed like we hit it off in a good way, and she had a lot of good medicine to share with our community. And a lot of the Women Nation need to hear more and more of these type of artists come out and express their view.
And she mentioned that she worked with individuals that you worked with too. That's a small world.
Dude, those guys, Manic and Oz, those guys are crazy.
We need to get them on.
Dude, no. They're crazy. Yes, we do. We do need to get them on. You know what's cool about Oz? Oz was a part of like a big TV show, like a Nickelodeon. I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote it, but some sort of a show like that revolved around a Native American. He was an actor, Oz 12. He was an actor, and he was already famous. And so, fuck, man, we went to Canada, and we met those guys, and we took the ferry from BC to Nanaimo, which is a big island off of British Columbia. These guys were hilarious, bro. These guys were, like, wild, crazy natives who were not ashamed of telling you what was on their mind at any second of the day. So
I think she's definitely bringing a little bit of that and a female aspect of it.
Absolutely. She had a strong message. She had strong flow, and people should look her up and follow her and buy her merchandise.
And this is how I found her, to the power of social media, hashtag Indigenous hip hop.
Ooh, there you go.
I do my research, and it's not that hard to search hashtags, but I love that hashtag because if you check out that hashtag on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram, you know better to not use that keyword if you're not associated with Indigenous hip hop.
Yeah, because you're gonna look whack. But no, she's solid. Everybody we've had on the show is solid in a way that's like, everybody's on their grind. Not all of them are as famous as Taboo. Not all of them are
X.
Or as X. X who got to tour with Knuckle Bear and did a whole amazing thing with his what was his mixtape called?
Oh man, I can't.
Runaway mixtape.
Yes,
that's what it was. Runaway mixtape, and that Jam Cielo and Moments. Those are, Indigenous hip hop has quality acts.
Yes,
that's exciting to kind of put together. And then when we open up the stages here in Los Angeles and we get some shows going, you got all of our local natives all of our local rebels here, you're in for something cool.
Yes, LA is the largest market for concerts, and my goal is to build up a community where down the line we can invite all of the artists that we interviewed to perform out here in Los Angeles in front of a good sized crowd.
Absolutely. That's the goal, is to kind of combine our messages and create our own platforms and have our own economy in terms of, merchandise to buy, music to buy, art to buy, things like that.
Right. Like we all heard her, about, she misses performing.
Yeah.
And I think taking that away from artists is very difficult.
It's like taking away your guys' passion. It's what fuels your corazón. ¿Qué no, Ruben?
Well, I mean, before this situation happened, I was so excited to go to Oxnard, and they were going to pay me $500 to do a 1 hour set. And then she calls me back. She's like, we're going to have to cancel this year, but, we'll see you in a few months. And then, boom, it just never happened again. That was the last time I got an offer. I can imagine people that make a living off of this, like not even like really famous people, but that
artists in general.
Yes.
Any artist in general that makes
take away your livelihood like that. Yeah. That's just wrong. But neither here nor there. We learn how to sustain ourselves and keep it moving, and that's why we have our website, lanatives.com. And, you can buy our merchandise, you can support our message, you can support our intention, because we have a lot of great ideas. One of them is free concerts. Another one is creating quality music and putting great. Wouldn't it be cool to send kids to go see Quinn Kondo and things like that? So when you are donating to LA Natives, or when you're buying shirts or sweaters and all that stuff, you're supporting our intention, and our intention is to gather the community, create places where you can gather information and take home things back home. Things that'll actually make a difference in your life. You know what I mean? Like Malinali Superfoods, or
yes,
or taking back a fly ass LA Native sweatshirt, or Richie's really cool fucking indigenous 1492 hats,
or one of your unreleased CDs,
or one of my unreleased music CDs projects. Which reminds me, we still have stuff to give away, right?
Yes, and to remind everyone, we are working on a Wednesday segment.
Oh, I
totally
forgot about
the Patreon. I want to roll that out after our 10th episode, which is I think going to be next week.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not mistaken, it might be Olmeca we might have next week.
Oh, cool. I go back in the days with that dude. I know that dude for a long time, Olmeca. He has really great music.
Oh, years.
Yeah, we've known each other for quite a bit of while, and he has great music.
It is confirmed. I just checked the email. Yep, he's on the 24th.
Perfect. So 24th is going to be Olmeca, and Olmeca has great music. He used to be in a band called Slow Rider, who actually did a lot of touring and played with some very big acts.
Mm-hmm.
So
he has a good little style behind him.
And he's dope. He's a dope writer. I think he's a professor at UNLV. I think he might be a professor at UNLV now.
Yeah.
He was first doing lectures, and now I think he's on permanently. But he's very intelligent. He has a lot of experience with the Zapatista movement that happened in '94 till about 2000. He studied with communities out there. He's toured Mexico, and yeah, man, it's going to be exciting to see and talk to him again.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, as Zero mentioned, we do giveaways.
What are we giving away this week?
We're going to give it away next week.
Oh,
so what I want people to do is, for all the new viewers tuning in, if you subscribe to our website, from now to next week, we're going to get all that data and then pick a winner to the prize that we're going to announce next week.
Okay, so we're gonna
because for sure by next week we'll have the garments ready.
Okay, cool.
Our stuff.
That's why we're waiting. We're waiting for our giveaway because we wanted to put together our garments that are going to be quality. We didn't want to put together just a regular band T-shirt with who knows this tag on there. We have our our professionally designed shirt tags and all the other good stuff that come with the high-end quality garment at a affordable, I say affordable price of $30. You just get that on our website at lanatives.com. It's very important for you to support us and you know, just keep the boat moving, man. We're doing really good. This is our what, 9th episode?
This is our 9th episode.
9th episode.
Yeah.
So,
and it feels good, right, Zero?
Well, I like it because what it did is it really inspired us for a Wednesday show. A Wednesday show that's a little bit more intimate, one that can be like more interactive about questions that people may have during this very stressful time. And then if they don't get that itch fulfilled on the Wednesday show, then they can follow us on Patreon and we can go deeper down the rabbit hole and give you solid, concrete strategies on how to, one, regain your perspective, and two, deal with everything that's being, you know, forced down your throat. You know, all that fear and all that disinformation. I mean, when you're a native and you've survived genocide, you've learned a few things. And you didn't just learn a few things from your grandparents and your mom and dad. What you learned is how to understand your situations. And we've been targeted for a very long time. And so all of this focus, I mean, on our community, there's strategies on how to deal with all that stuff. On Wednesday, you get to ask the question. And then if it's not really leading you down the right path and you need more clarity, then you'll join our Patreon.
Yes.
And then on Sundays, we showcase native talent and we interact with our community once again and we give away stuff. So we have almost a full week of engagement with LA natives. And
why not produce content like this to compete in this, you know, rapidly growing podcast scene?
Yeah,
right.
Everybody has one now.
I feel like we're providing something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Sundays. It's almost like having Sunday dinner with your family, you know, except it doesn't involve like eating turkey and stuff. Or it is that we make, or carne asada. That's it, carne asada. But we come here and we indulge on our messages and our talented individuals that are all across Turtle Island, trying to remember that we have a place of origin. We have a connected source of life, which is the landmass that we live on, no matter where you are, no matter where you were displaced. The one thing that I noticed about interviewing the sister JB, the first lady, was that, you know, she was a little timid in the sense of like not too timid, but enough to understand that she's gaining that confidence again, gaining that voice to say whatever she felt that she needed to say to a community that she really, really loves. And that's what us native indigenous hip hop artists, native indigenous rock artists, or whatever it is, anybody who puts their talent towards a message that you feel deep in your heart and then share it with everyone. It's probably the most intimate thing you can do with someone. Share that. And the weird thing about it is that it's pre-recorded. So you're having this intimate moment with your headphones or in the car by yourself. But those intimate moments, you know, they're special person that produced it. So they rely on you for your support and your follow, your comment, just like LA Natives relies on that.
And before we go, I want to mention that there's an extra feature that Spotify and iTunes podcast provides, is fans can actually leave messages.
Ooh, that'd be dope.
About our podcast. So I want to stress that out for anyone tuning in. If you like what you hear, go to our Spotify page, click on the episode, and there's a link there that says, hey, look, you can leave a voice message. And I want to start playing those clips live as we move forward with more, segments and stuff. That would be dope, right, Zero?
That would be amazing if the community would take the time and use their cell phone to call and express themselves. Say whatever you want, as long as you're respectful, as long as it's unifying the indigenous community. How do you feel about our podcast? How are we doing? Are we touching your heart? Are we making an impact in your community? Let us know. It's important for the community to engage and give their voice to the rest of the community, saying, hey, this is a good space. This is a good place. It's not ruled by a tyrannical ego. It's ruled by all of us that created it. All of us that come every Sunday and spend time and share a message of love, respect, and wisdom.
And keep in mind, it's only been a few weeks, Zero, and I'm looking at the Spotify numbers on top of what we already have on video on our YouTube archives and our archives on Twitch, that a lot of people do like to listen to our podcast. That means so much to us, because it's like, of course, with YouTube, we provide that visual.
Absolutely. That visual aspect.
Bonus, yeah. Right? But for people to, maybe they're working out, or they're working, or they're driving home, and they just want something to, be very therapeutic for them.
Yeah.
And we have hundreds of plays per episode.
That's dope. That means we're saying the right things in a good way.
Right. And we're not approaching this like, hey, look, we need the thousands of listens per episode. But we're doing what, we're just being ourselves. And I think if we just continue on that path, we're going to get to those 1,000 listens per episode.
I mean, as more artists come together and believe in our efforts to unify and create a platform, events, or a place where you can come on the chat board and be heard by whoever else is on the chat, whoever else wants to listen to what we have to say here. Your voice is respected and heard. And on Wednesdays, you might be able to call in. And if you have a computer in front of you, you might be able to even do split screen.
Yep.
And we do a 1-to-1.
Yep.
And we get into depth about what you want to talk about.
Because, our viewers and the fans that we have, they have something to say too.
Absolutely. They're very smart.
That's the reason why they even pay attention to this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely alternative thinkers. They're definitely critical thinkers. They're definitely people that care about their children and care about their own health. This isn't like McDonald's sponsored, regurgitated fucking art that was born,
we're giving away Nike. No.
You know what I mean? Like that corporate dominated, it's just almost like they ran out of ideas on how to exploit talent. So that's why podcasting and recording your own music and doing your own thing in your own way is coming up to be the new media.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are doing it. But how I see it, what message do you have behind your podcast? How powerful is your voice? Right? Remember, we always have these discussions, right? Zero, the reasonings why people even decided to create podcasts. Well,
you definitely have to know. You have to be well researched, and what I mean by that, I don't mean like reading books and being a dictionary or regurgitating Google searches. It's really more about finding that road inside yourself and that message inside of your heart and putting it all together and sharing that. And so that's what we do here in LA Natives, is invite those individuals that did take that step, that did research and did not want to be this booty shaking Pepsi and fucking, fucking Cardi B on Pepsi commercials and fucking Karis One on Sprite commercials. And it's just, I know that's the way you make money and are successful, but somehow some people,
that's how you make their kind of money.
Well, everybody waits to be on their platform. Like they go, I can't wait to make it because I'm going to make a difference. You can't make a difference in a system that was designed to keep your people oppressed. So no matter how rich or famous you get or how much money you get, you're not going to make a difference. Making a difference is being a good human being and other people mimicking your greatness, your intention, your heart. That's why you stay disciplined. That's why you take care of your body. That's why you meditate. That's why you run and exercise. That's why you have a good relationship with the other sex. That's why we have this understanding. And we've had it for a very, very long time. These structures have been put in place thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. That connection with the fire happened a long time ago. And our great-grandfathers organized the system to teach it to us. And we started learning about it younger and younger and younger and younger. And it's kept us alive through genocide. It's kept us alive through being a prisoner of war. Understanding that, navigating that, and surviving that is our mission.
Yes.
LA Natives.
LA Natives. Subscribe, LANativesPodcast.com.
Buy shirts.
Buy shirts. Support. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Twitch.
And stay tuned to our next podcast, which is going to be Wednesday.
No,
Yes.
Or
next week on Sunday.
On Sunday it's going to be Old Mecca, but yes,
After the 10th
I will do
episode.
my due diligence and let's try to push a flyer out for this coming Wednesday.
For this Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. If you're down.
I am down.
I thought you said after the 10th episode.
Well, that's the Patreon.
Oh, the Patreon is
Oh,
after 10.
Damn.
Yeah, okay.
You guys
see.
have a lot to offer.
So that's
But if it's not this Wednesday, for sure next Wednesday.
just know that we're trying to put together a full week of like preparing you for our message, because our message is more than just showcasing artists or anything else that we might try to promote here on LA Natives. We're trying to give you stuff that you could take home, that you could research, and you can apply to your life and help yourself get out of this decolonized understanding and this abusive relationship with narcissists that came from across the oceans. These individuals did not come with love or respect. These individuals tortured your grandparents and they didn't even take anything from you. They made you believe that you no longer had a connection with that land. And that was a lie. So we don't need to take the land back. The land is already back. You can't disconnect from it unless you can float on air, unless you are completely disassociated, disconnected with your own humanity. Reconnect to your innate mission. Everyone has a purpose. You got any last words, JB?
Well, just thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. She was representing for the Women Nation, and that's what we're here to do, bringing that balance of that Women Nation and the missing, murdered women and everything. So we are representing all 6 directions for all of you guys.
Follow our website. Follow undergroundhiphopblog.com. We'll see you next Sunday. LA Natives.
Peace.
With all our heart and love.
Lasso
Ometeo.
Kamatli.
Lasso Kamatli. Ometeo. Tonansi.